So I just discovered something about the Robert Fagel's version of the Orestia. Really, this probably applies to any translation. I realized this a few days ago, actually last week, probably 2 weeks ago. I just haven't read. But in my last, or two videos ago, I was struggling to read this, and there was like a certain line that I could not figure out what it meant, and I ended up turning to ChatGPT. What I didn't realize was that at the end of this book, there's a notes section which gives context to different phrases or paragraphs or just words in the writing. So that's it. That's what I realized, and that was really helpful. So it's a lot easier going through this text again. I feel like I actually understand what's going on. And similarly, in the beginning of the book, I think like the first, I don't know, maybe 60 pages, 90 pages, I think Robert Fagles is giving his own reading of each of the plays. Like it's his own interpretation maybe, but I kind of think of it as like a summary with some analysis as well. So that's helpful to read through if you're confused and not understanding what's happening. So now I feel like I have a complete resource, which, I had from the start, and I just was not fully utilizing because I was so eager to just start reading the actual text. But from now on, I think I'm going to have to start reading the introduction, all of the pages that come before the actual text in these types of books. But yeah, so now I'm back to around line, I think I'm on, line 400. And I have a much better understanding of what's happening. So I want to try to give an updated explanation of the first half of the play, the first 400 lines, in hopes that I can do better than my last video on this topic. So the play starts off, the scene and the setting is at an altar at the tomb of Agamemnon, a couple of years after he's killed by Clytemnestra. And this is the first time that we're actually introduced to Orestes, Agamemnon's son. And it's him and his friend Pylades. I forgot the guy's name, Pylades or something. It's him and his friend, basically the side character, as far as I understand. And they're at the tomb, and Orestes has just returned from exile, and he's remembering his father and decides to cut off 2 locks of hair and throw them, I don't know if he threw them onto the tomb, or one was for a river in his hometown. I think there's some cultural significance to this river, the Aeschylus. And the other strand of hair that he cuts off is to commemorate his father. So yeah, and at this point, I don't remember if he's already feeling vengeful. I think he is. But this scene kind of gets cut off by a procession of what seems to be women walking towards the tomb. And so he kind of runs off and goes to hide somewhere nearby. And we find out that this procession of women is comprised of Electra, who is the sister of Orestes and the daughter of Clytemnestra and Agamemnon. The second daughter. There's possibly a third daughter in some versions of the text. But these are the two remaining children that we know of, the two surviving children. And she's with a bunch of other women who are known as the chorus. And I think they're all kind of servants of Clytemnestra at this point, including Electra. So like she's lost all of her status as royalty, and yeah, I guess she still lives in the same house as Clytemnestra, but she's treated as like a servant. And all the other women that she's with were once highborn women, but are now being treated as like slaves, basically. So the reason they're coming to the tomb is because Clytemnestra had a nightmare about Agamemnon, that I don't remember exactly the contents of her nightmare. Basically that he's like pissed off about his ghost is pissed off and wants, vengeance of some sort. And so she sends this group of women to his tomb to pour libations to still him and calm his spirit. Basically, she's worried that shit's about to hit the fan for herself. She's about, that revenge is coming her way in some fateful form. And she's trying to prevent that from happening. And so pouring libations, which is, I learned, is a combination of honey, oil, wine, and meal. I guess that's a ritual thing that's done to, I think it has multiple purposes. It could be used for like a celebratory reason, or to, I think as we'll see, to inspire vigor in the children of Agamemnon. But Clytemnestra wants them to pour libations to soothe his dead ghost, something like that. Anyway, all of these women are, not big fans of Clytemnestra because of the situation that she has put them in. So they decide they're not going to pour libations to soothe him. They're going to pour libations to piss him off even more, and pray and hope that she'll be killed, basically. Like they're preying on her downfall, literally. And so it's kind of an act of resistance toward Clytemnestra that they're doing this. And this is where Electra notices the locks of hair that Orestes had cut. So yeah, she notices, I don't know if she notices those first, or if she was already talking about him. I think she was asking the chorus what she should pray for as she pours her libations. and they had said, to basically to pray for those who love her, her friends, anybody who is an enemy of Aegisthus, and they also told her basically to pray for Orestes. That's my understanding of it. And then she sees the lock of hair, and she notices that it's the same color as hers, and she gets a fleeting thought that maybe, this is some sign of Orestes, and so she wonders, was this sent here by him while he's in exile? And she kind of assumes, so that has to be the case. And then she sees his footprint in the dust or in the mud. I think they're outside in this setting. Anyway, she sees his footprint because he ran off to go hide from them. And he must be barefoot because the concave or the curvature of the footprint reminds her of her own. And she is almost sure that this is her brother's footprint. And so she follows in his footsteps, and eventually he comes out from hiding and they embrace. Well, they don't actually embrace right away, but they kind of, she's in disbelief that it's him, and he proves his identity to her by placing the lock of hair back to where he cut it from, and also showing her, I guess, something that she embroidered, or like some part of his garment that she had given to him or sent to him while he was in exile. So she has proof that it's him. And then what happens after that? Then they start praying to, so it's like a happy moment, right? Then they start praying to Zeus to support them, right? So they embrace together, and they are united in wanting to reclaim their position in Argos as, I don't know if they really care so much to be rulers, but they were forced out of their house, their father was killed, so they want revenge, basically. So they're united in that effort, and they're praying to Zeus to facilitate that. Yeah. This is coming up to around where I'm at, I think. So yeah, they're praying to Zeus, and then Orestes starts talking about how he's on this mission to reclaim what's rightfully his, for a number of reasons, but one is because of Apollo, who he says basically told him that he has to avenge his father's death, otherwise he'll live a life of misery, guilt, and he'll kind of just wither away as a pariah. But he says even if he doesn't fully believe Apollo, he still has his own reasons to complete the same mission, which I'm a little confused about what those are. I think it's just that he doesn't need a god to to keep him angry about the death of his father. So he's basically ready to get going, like and him and his sister are really excited talking about this, and the chorus women tell them to quiet down because someone may hear them and they'll get in a lot of trouble if they're caught basically committing treason to their mother. Yeah, I think that's pretty much around where I'm at. Yeah, and then they actually pour the libations on the fire on the altar. I don't know where they're pouring them, somewhere on the altar. And then they start this kind of chant to Agamemnon, this ritualistic chant, which I'm interested to learn more about. I think it's called a dirge, D-I-R-G-E. So that's something I need to look up. But they start actually chanting to him, trying to cultivate his spirit. And yeah, that's about where I'm at right now. So that's the first about 400 lines of the libation bearers, and yeah, I'm having a much better time reading this than Agamemnon after finding the notes in the back of the book. Like, it makes such a big difference having that context. So yeah, that's it.